Right, so the circumstances surrounding the deliberate targeting of the Freedom Flotilla Coalition ship Conscience in the early hours of last Friday morning has deepened, and along with it, it would appear the involvement of the Maltese government. Where air traffic records have indicated the presence of an Israeli plane, likely the source of the drone attack on the Conscience, in Maltese airspace along with a US craft accompanying it, the Maltese government have denied any such planes at the time of the attack being there, and despite offers of help having been made to repair the vessel at sea, pending an inspection by Malta having been accepted by those on Malta waiting to join the ship and the ship's crew themselves, Maltese officials are saying the crew has been refusing such offers. So who's telling the truth here and who isn't? Well, the fact Maltese military craft have blocked FFC vessels bringing food, water and supplies to the Conscience in an act eerily reminiscent of what Israel is doing to the people of Gaza, who the Conscience was on its way to attempt to assist, along with a rather incriminating conversation with Maltese Coast Guards, which has been shared to social media, it seems Malta might be digging a bigger hole for itself here than it already had, in seemingly aiding and abetting Israel to keep starving the people of Gaza. Right, so in the early hours of May 2nd, the humanitarian aid vessel Conscience, operated by the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, or FFC, was struck by drones in international waters not far off the coast of Malta. The attack has ignited a fire and breached the ship's hull, has left the vessel crippled and at risk of sinking. I went into more detail in my video the other day about who the FFC are, but briefly to recap, the FFC are basically a coalition of international NGOs committed to delivering humanitarian aid to Gaza and challenging Israel's 17-year blockade of Gaza, having turned it into the world's largest open-air concentration camp as that has, who have also accused Israel of orchestrating this attack, and certainly flight plans covering the timing of the attack provide circumstantial evidence at least to back up that assertion, and frankly, who else would have had a vested interest in targeting a Gaza-bound aid ship? That said, though, the incident's gravity and Malta's initial involvement is compounded by Malta's subsequent actions now as well. Despite the vessel's dire condition, the crew's urgent need for assistance, Maltese authorities have obstructed efforts to provide aid and have denied the Conscience entry into Maltese waters for repairs. They've been caught out, it would appear, and the question they need to answer have just got even bigger. So the Conscience was en route to Gaza, having left Tunisia the previous Tuesday, carrying humanitarian supplies and international activists, including environmentalist Greta Thunberg, who was scheduled to board the vessel in Malta once it got there. But the drone attack came first. A drone attack which targeted the ship's generators, have made a mess of the front end of the ship and left the vessel powerless and at risk of sinking. Assistance arrived to help put out the fire, but not to assist in the mobilisation of the ship, which has been left where it is, in international waters, at risk of another attack as well as at risk of sinking, as aforementioned. Now, Malta have allegedly offered to assist the vessel, but have claimed the crew have refused all offers of help, which is playing into pro-Israel narratives no end. Not least a report allegedly citing a Western security source stating that Hamas had funded the trip and the ship was due to intercept the IDF. For instance, an excerpt from the Times of Malta reads, "While the government is insisting that it is offering to help all the crew on board, the NGO wants the damaged vessel to inch closer to Malta, fearing another attack. In a statement on Saturday, the government insisted that every offer of assistance has been refused by the activists. It said the Maltese authorities had provided assistance from the outset, with firefighting measures and with the deployment of an AFM vessel to assist the vessel and crew. Today, the crew and people on board were again offered rescue, which was refused," a government spokesperson said. Malta is offering to send a marine surveyor on board to assess the reported damage sustained by the vessel, and according to the relevant findings, to assist in any emergency repairs necessary to enable the vessel to sail to its intended destination. The vessel's captain has refused to allow the surveyor to board the vessel. According to that, Malta's insistence on inspecting the cargo before allowing the Conscience to dock has effectively barred the vessel from accessing necessary repairs and resupplying. Well, here's an excerpt from France 24 that implies otherwise. In an online press conference, members of the coalition who had been due to board the Conscience in Malta, including Swedish activist Greta Thunberg, said they had agreed to allow the inspection. "When we received this offer from the Maltese government, we consulted with all of our Flotilla Coalition committee members who were on board," said Brazilian FFC volunteer Tiago Avila. "And their decision is that this is a good proposition for the Maltese government," he said. "As long as they can guarantee Conscience will not be stopped when it wants to leave on the humanitarian mission to take aid to Gaza." So that's two very differing opinions that are being published in the media there, it would appear. So who's telling the truth then? Well, there's more. The FFC has also accused Malta of blocking volunteers from reaching the ship and preventing the delivery of food and medical supplies to them. Apparently there are a few crew members who suffered cuts and burns in the drone strike, and given this part of the story has been published by the Independent, UK mainstream media here, folks, not particularly anti-Israel, does raise a little bit of an eyebrow, doesn't it? Their piece said, "We had intended to bring food, water and other basic emergency supplies," an activist revealed in a video clip shot near the scene, where a Maltese maritime unit was guarding the perimeter of the Conscience, but were intercepted by Maltese military vessels who told us that we could not deliver those supplies. So we have an aid blockade on an aid ship carrying aid for a besieged enclave where aid is also being blocked from entering. Who knew Israel was so inspirational for the Maltese government? How else do you interpret this, after all? Furthermore, Malta, along with Greece and Turkey, have all threatened to seize the vessel if it attempts to dock in any of their ports, citing security concerns. It should be noted that a number of Turkish nationals happen to be on board the Conscience, so again, for all of the idiot Erdogan's apparent anti-Israel sentiment, along with the oil he is still funneling into Israel from Azerbaijan, he's left his own people adrift in the middle of the Med for Israel's sake too, it seems. Complicating matters even further, along with raising even more suspicions, the Conscience's flag of registration was revoked by Palau on the same day as the attack. Sailing under the flag of Palau, a nation known for its close ties to the United States particularly, whose aid basically keeps the little South Pacific island nation functional, and its support for Israel, the vessel's sudden unflagging has left it stateless and therefore uninsured, further isolating it and again hindering rescue efforts, because now nobody is coming to the rescue, and isn't the timing of that unflagging awfully convenient? The revocation of the flag, coupled with reports of US support aircraft allegedly seen with the allegedly Israeli drone-controlling aircraft, suggests potential US involvement, or at least tacit approval of the operation, to target a humanitarian effort to bring aid to Gaza. Now, let's come back to those media outlets who have reported that the Conscience's crew refused to allow inspections of the cargo, implying they have something to hide, and especially in light of the blockade of aid to the vessel, even though the crew have actually agreed to it. Have a watch of this. It's a conversation between the Conscience and the Maltese Coast Guard, and see whose side you come down on after listening to it.
Permission to enter territorial waters. There is a patrol boat or Malta VTS on channel 69. Always coordinate with Malta VTS on channel 69 or the patrol boat which is in the area. Over.
Sir, I can understand you, but this is negative because we are feeling unsafe here in this location, and we are asking you just to enter at least 3 to 4 miles extra to feel safe in the area. We are still in the international water, and we are expecting another terrorist attack to our playground. Otherwise, you will be the part of the criminal court, sir.
From my side, Captain, I am just following orders from higher authorities. I cannot give you authorization to enter territorial waters. Over.
Sir, please check with your seniors again. And this is not something...
Just following orders. Where have you heard that one before? Whose orders, incidentally? Israel's? Trump's? Malta have no particular ties to Israel. No embassy, no diplomatic relations to speak of. Yet here we are in this situation, blocking a ship getting aid after being attacked, a Coast Guard blocking the ship from moving even 3 or 4 miles closer into Maltese waters, because then it would make it Malta's responsibility under maritime law, when frankly they already have responsibility to deal with this out of common decency. Who does that unless you know who did it and you're on their side? By obstructing humanitarian aid and aligning with nations enforcing the Gaza blockade, as things seemingly appear all the more now, Malta is joining in not only with the complicity of those seeking to blockade to Gaza, but by doing so make themselves complicit in the collective punishment of the Palestinian people themselves now, surely. Furthermore, Malta's denial of airspace usage by aircraft involved in the drone attack, despite flight plans suggesting otherwise, raises questions about transparency and accountability on their part as well. By obstructing humanitarian aid and denying the vessel access to necessary repairs, Malta has not only failed in its humanitarian obligations, but has also compromised its supposed neutrality. The ship needs help. It has agreed to inspection pending that, yet Malta are apparently disputing it. What we are also seeing is denial of aid, denial of Coast Guard support, withdrawal of insurance, and for what? To make sure Gaza keeps on starving? Well, that's on you now, Malta, unless you do the right and decent thing now. These are the challenges faced by those seeking to alleviate suffering in Gaza, and the lengths to which some nations will clearly go to suppress such efforts, war crimes as they are. Malta needs to get its act together here, because their excuses have more holes in them than Swiss cheese. For more on this incident and how it came to pass, please check out my other video on this story, and this video recommendation here is your suggested next watch. Please do also hit like, share and subscribe if you haven't done so already, so as to ensure you don't miss out on all new daily content, as well as supporting the channel at the very same time, which is very much appreciated. Holding power to account for ordinary working class people, and I will hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.